little aside. You know, when I was elected president, one of my big worries was, how am I going to fill these 30 minutes between 12:30 and 1 o'clock? Well, I found that I could talk about different things, such as, you know, asking members, what's your favorite kind of ice cream? Or what's a good book that you read? None of that is happening now, guys. So much is going on with the club, and I'm so dang proud of everybody, especially Lion Jim and Lion Brian, who came after me and have just propelled this club into an area where I would not have believed it could have gone. So thank you guys very much.
Awesome.
Okay, now our speaker today, thanks to Lion Brian, who knows a lot of people who do a lot of interesting things. Our speaker today is Theo Hanson. He's going to talk to us about nourishment, how to keep our bodies healthy, how to just live longer and enjoy life better. Theo Hanson.
Thank you guys. It's tough to introduce me for two reasons. One is I want to move around a bunch, and so to corral me is nearly impossible. But luckily, Art, you couldn't hear me when I stood next to you, so I figure I'm going to have to stand back here or we're not going to get this accomplished. So introducing me is tough too because I have no idea what it is that I do for a living because I think my mom birthed me that way. So I come to you with a couple things to share, and I hope that you guys will leave a little wealthier. And for those of you who like me, thank you. And for those of you who will just never like me, I understand why, and so will you soon. So Brian and I have been friends, gosh, it's 7 or 8 years now?
Probably 10.
Yeah, sorry, I can't count. I had a heart attack, you don't know, so I forgot some stuff and since then. So what I actually am today is I'm a transformation coach, and I say today because I am in that process both personally, and I have the pleasure of having a handful of friends and new acquaintances who are on the journey with me, and I want to share it with you if you're willing to let me do that. So by show of hands, how many people watch television? That's most of you, yes. Does anyone watch Duck Dynasty? Okay. Does anybody know who Richard Rawlings is from Gas Monkey?
From what?
Gas Monkey, it says it. Great. So for those of you who watch that show, you're thinking I am the illegitimate child of those two shows. And then you'll find out that I think Anthony Robbins was in the dating pool. And so I'm a big fan of people challenging themselves to do a little more today than you did yesterday. Not for the purpose of just being busy, and I think that you guys know what that's like. You're volunteering in a community organization. So being busy isn't something that I'm talking about today. In fact, I'm talking about, I'd like to share with you, reconsidering what you do and where you spend your time. And I think that the Lions International is probably one of the best places to put your time because you have to carry a balanced life. So I actually am a former Lion. I was in the UTC Lions organization in 99, 2000. I served with Alice Tanna, Steve Butler, and some other really great people. And I left as I also went and built my business, as Art talked about doing in the 60s before I was even born. So Art, you've got the big perspective. So I'm going to share today with you a small perspective. If you're a guest and you're considering participating in the Lions, I could not give a greater endorsement. And I am reminded today as to why I should return back to the organization as I watched you guys encourage one another, recognize each other's participation achievements, and then also as you pledge your allegiance to one of the greatest pieces of fabric on planet Earth, which represents our flag. And I remember growing up as a child being able to pledge my allegiance to that flag and to this country, and for all that it stood for, and for whatever reason we're under attack. So this is the part where the Duck Dynasty kind of comes out of me a little bit, is I like a simple life where people are good one to another, we remember we're responsible to each other, we have a work ethic, and we go out and we do something with that. So I applaud you guys, first of all, for that. So if you would, just applaud yourself. I mean, that's a thing. you guys already know this, but I looked it up because I was interested to see it. But the Alliance International has 42,000 chapters and over 1,345,000 members, which means you can go anywhere in the world and have a brother or a sister. And I think that that's huge, especially in the context of what I want to share with you today. So in the words of the great philosopher, Dr. Seuss, my hero, he said, "Today you are you, and that is true, truer than true. There is no one alive who is more youer than you." And I'll let that sink in. If it makes no sense, that's all right. And if it means something today, I'm glad. For the purpose of this conversation, I have to talk about some sort of not so good things and then some really great outcomes. And I hope that you'll stay with me for the next 6 or 7 minutes through this as we cover it. But there is no one responsible for your happiness, your health, your well-being, your ability to help others than you. If you don't take care of yourself, you're of no use to anyone else. In fact, you can become a burden. And so, for me in my life today, my greatest purpose comes from the fact that we won a battle that is becoming an epidemic. And that was my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. And it wasn't any breast cancer. Breast cancer comes in many forms, but one of the dangerous ones is when it's infiltrating, invasive, and it decides that it would like to take over the body. And we don't know as a scientific community yet what all those triggers and causes are, but we sure know how to hit the snot out of it with a hammer, and we sure know how to do some stuff. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that because it becomes pivotal in what becomes my efficacy or my ability to help myself and to help others. So I have 2 things that I'd like to accomplish if you're willing to help me with those. And the first one is I want to encourage you today to build a life, to design a life, and to live that life that fits for you, for the things that you value. I think that many of us get caught up in all the busyness of creating families, supporting families, working, trying to figure out how to pay bills and how to increase what we do, how to still be good to other people, all the surprises, illness, parents growing older and needing assistance, kids who seem to leave the nest a lot later. Does anyone else have that? Your kids are not leaving, they're staying longer. I was 18 years old. I moved my 18th birthday to Hamilton. That was at my first apartment, just a few blocks away, on my 18th birthday. Somehow, my children did not get that message. They did not get the memo. And the second one is I would like to offer my help if you'll take it or you need it. Either one, however it is. Those are the 2 things I like to encourage. So in order for you to understand who I am and what I am, I need to back up about 10 months ago and maybe just a little bit before that. I was born here in San Diego as a 2nd generation San Diegan. My mother was Miss San Diego in 1963. She was quite the beautiful lady. She died of form of cancer. So I lost her about 10 years ago. And my mom was really one of the most interesting people, and she may have been slightly touched. My mom was very off-color and unique, and therefore I am, in fact, named Theo, and I have no middle name, and I really have no idea where she came up with the name. But it's the thing that flower children did, and so I'm stuck with it, but that's all right, and I like it today, but when you're a little younger, it's a little different. But going back 10 months ago, I was sitting in our second home in Chicago, so we mentioned Illinois, it's neat. It's an amazing city. This one's better. But I was sitting in our house in Chicago, and I looked in the mirror, and the reflection back in the mirror was a stranger to me, in that I was 74 pounds heavier than I am today. And I couldn't lose it, and I was gaining. Every time I would lose 5 pounds, I would gain 7. And then I would find myself running away on a business trip and coming back a few pounds heavier a few days later. And then I would diet some more, and this went on for about 3 years. And so I decided I needed to make some changes. And the first change I made was what went into my face. I decided that I had to stop eating those delicious, wonderful meals that so many great restaurants and restaurateurs and chefs can create, because there was no limit to how much I was willing to spend going to these amazing restaurants. San Diego has a few. Chicago has thousands. And so it's a great place for a foodie. And so I looked in the mirror and I realized I needed to do something. And I didn't know where to start. So I reached out for some help. And there were some things that would begin to happen to me that would be revolutionary. And I took those things to heart, and I started to create a change. And I began to eat clean. I looked at everything that I put in my mouth, and I read the label, and if I didn't know what it was scientifically, I figured I probably didn't need to consume it. And as it would turn out, I would have a lot of great things happen in my health. So we can fast forward to February of this year, or January 18th actually. I came home, my youngest son turned 18, which is so exciting. Again, he won't be leaving anytime soon. And he turned 18. My wife, she turned 49 years young, which was wonderful. She's amazing, and I hope she'd be here today. She just finished up surgery, and so she's recovering today with lots of great news. And then, so she turned 49, and then our two other sons are very competitive. So one was scheduled to have a baby, which I know there's doctors in the room, and you can attest to this. You can't change the scheduling on when a child arrives. That's a function all to itself. And so that baby's going to come whenever he's going to. So his brother decides to jump up on scheduling on getting married and move it into the exact same estimated weekend. Wow. Holy smokes. So we had a baby, and my other child got married within days of each other, which was absolutely riveting. So I thought, literally, how can life get any better? So if you're having that question, I'm going to encourage you to stick with it, but I'm going to warn you what comes next. So as I'm sitting there thinking, I'm lucky. And we had a lot of great things happening, also some weird challenges, but my wife said to me, I have a lump. And it's not one of the things you really want to hear, because I know she's not pregnant, so we're not talking about a bump, we're talking about a lump. And I like her a lot, by the way. She's been a great wife. And I like the idea of her being happy, healthy. She's already wiser than me, so we didn't have to worry about that part. So we got her to a doctor right away. We're not like everyone else when it comes to health insurance, and we're not like everyone else when it comes to choices. And so then I got to learn why people have health insurance really quickly. When you're paying for that stuff out of pocket, it gets really weird fast. So we found out that she had what they call ductal carcinoma in situ, which means that one of the mammary glands has gone awry, and it's starting to develop strangely. Well, that was a misdiagnosis. As it turns out, that's not what she had at all. She had an infiltrating ductal carcinoma, and she had mass metastases. It was early, but we suddenly had an uphill battle. So here I had all this great stuff happening. And of course, being a man, I planned something really, really important. I committed to a friend that I would sail around the world, or what felt like it anyways. So I'm already committed to this, and there's no way to back out because you have to have crew to get across the Atlantic. So at the time, we think our diagnosis is a little simpler. So we're fine with go ahead and sail and come back. This will go well. So I don't know if anybody's ever sailed in large amount. Anyone ever been out on a small boat in a big ocean? Oh, yeah, that's right. We have Navy, too. Yeah, you're on a big boat. That doesn't count. So I'm on a small boat. And then we realized that satellite phones and the internet actually don't work. And then we find out that my wife has more advanced cancer. But luckily, I'm now in the Atlantic Ocean with no ability to do anything about it. So we take the slow boat, literally, to, I jumped in off the coast of Morocco, the Canary Islands, and we sailed along Africa, amazing, down the Cape Verde Islands, and then we made the trek across the Atlantic, which, if any of you are contemplating it, I'll tell you right now, I'll send you a 2-minute video, put it on loop, watch it for a couple of weeks, it's exactly the same thing as making it across. Stupidest thing I've ever done. So literally, I mean, the stupidest thing I think I've, and I've done some crazy stuff. But as I sailed in a 44-foot boat, and there were 4 of us on it, and we get somewhere where there's about 1,000 miles of water behind us, about 3,500 miles to the north, and about the same to the south, and another 1,500 miles or more in front of us, I realize I don't want to be on the boat.
Oh, no.
This is problematic. So we still have, I think, about 2 weeks ahead of us before we're going to see land, before I can start dealing with these issues. So when you have that kind of reflective time, and by the way, we're working 3 hours on, 6 hours off. I don't know if you've ever tried to do sleep deprivation. I think you do in the military on purpose. It's insane. You start thinking weird things, doing weird things, and I'm supposed to be on a diet. So if you've ever tried to pack food on a boat with people who are not on a diet, my whole world's crumbling, and I'm trying to fix everything, and it's not going. Great time to decide to be a transformation coach. So this is me, as you can imagine. So I get to St. Lucia, and I fly my wife in. We kick everybody else off the boat. And another friend, the guy who owns the boat, his wife come in, and we sail down. We have 12 of the best sailing days of person can possibly ask for. We haul home, and we go and we tackle it. So I now have lost over 70 pounds as we fast forward. Everybody's had birthdays. Everyone's still married. Our grandchild is one of the cutest things on the planet Earth. I know yours are cute, but I swear this one's got to be a little cuter. And I am thankful for it. But I also had to address some things in my life. I had to make some distinctions about where do I put my time and energy. And Brian will tell you that at any given time, I don't know how many cars I own. And I really lose track of things, including how many houses I own. I know that sounds crazy, but in the real estate development business, you sometimes dream about homes you don't own when you think you do. And then you forget about a house or two that's supposed to be having something done to it. So this is the crazy world that I'm now dealing with cancer without health insurance, and we're going to doctors who are telling my wife that she needs to do a very specific regimen. And for those of you who have endured or have family who has, the current regimen is driven by the pharmaceutical industry and the Food and Drug Administration. Doctors, to me, have become caught in an interesting storm. They are the greatest people on earth when you need a doctor. There is nobody you would rather see. I do not want to see a tax accountant when I need a doctor, and I definitely don't want to see a food specialist when I need a doctor. I want to see a doctor. And so when you have cancer today, and you include oncology, and you're a woman, the best idea is just to do a bilateral mastectomy and hit you with some chemotherapy. If you're resistive, you can go for an now called breast conservation and radiation. So that didn't make a lot of sense, and it cost a lot of money. But it wasn't the cost that mattered, because I had a lot of stuff I could sell if I wanted to. But I looked at my wife and I asked her what she wanted to do, and she said, I want to do something that makes sense. I don't know how many of you love your wife like I do, but when your wife gives you a task that you have no idea how to accomplish, your hair catches on fire. So my hair caught on fire. And I took her to everyone I could find, people of all sorts. And I just started looking for people who had fought and won. And then we started putting them into categories of those that might have a lifestyle that matched the one we'd like to have on the other side. And so today when I speak to you, I'm speaking to you from that context. If you could design your life any way you wanted it, are you currently living that life? And if not, nobody else is going to change it but you. Sickness, health, death, marriages, a lot of them will influence it, but you decide your own life. And that's going to be up to you. We chose a juicing protocol. We decided to stay in the system. We kept our doctors informed, and they all told us the same thing. You are being ridiculous. She's going to die. And I kept saying, if she wants to cut her head off and radiate it, I'll support her. But until then, you'll talk to me, not to her. And that's a tough place to be for those of you, if any of you's ever been diagnosed with a serious illness. There comes a time when agendas don't always meet up, and that was where we found ourselves at. And it was a little terrifying, because I got to answer to a lot of people. Her kids love her, her parents love her, I love her friends love her, and everyone's looking at me like I'm driving the bus. I'm like, well, I'm not even driving this bus. So I decided that I would do whatever she wanted to do, and I would do it with her. So we sat down with some people who had fought various types of cancer, including the type that she had, and they had used a very serious therapy. They eliminated some things in life. They began to only consume concentrated amounts of really healthy produce in the form of juicing with some additives and some other good-for-you stuff. And we did that. And so I can stand here today with a really super great announcement. I just finished 100 days of juicing. This is my 100th day. I haven't eaten food in 100 days. I'm not dead. Bizarre. I feel amazing. I no longer have acute, severe sleep apnea. I actually have all my sciences if anybody wants to see them. I had, because it's crazy, I mean, this stuff that was going on. I don't snore. I sleep well through the night. I'm super excited. My wife has juiced for 100 days. We just launched our own coaching company together, which for the first time in 14 years, my wife now works with me. She's come out of retirement. Yay. Which is really being spoiled, actually. And my wife is also cancer-free.
Congratulations. Wow.
And so I first give credit to the guy who first created us. I think that God had a big role in it, and I'm humbled by it. All we did was whatever He made. That's what we put in our house, and we stopped putting other things on us and doing things. But my wife literally looks better than she's ever looked. Her nails are stronger. She has her hair. Her eyes are bright. Her skin is shiny. She is just an absolute pistol of fun. So I'm not saying for everyone, go choose. That's not really the purpose of this conversation. The purpose of the conversation is there are things that we know work, and sometimes we find ourselves engaging in life doing things that are against the things that we want, or not so much in line with. They might be distractions, they might be patterns, behaviors, or whatever they are. But along the way, I discovered that I needed some things if I was going to change. And those things came available. I documented them, I put them together, I offered it to other people, and everyone's having the exact same results. When it comes to fighting major illness, I'm still sticking with the guys in the white coats. They got big educations, they know how to put big words together, they know how to get you to the right places, and I'm not discounting that a single bit. But I sure have had a fun time looking a few doctors in the face and asking them to explain why the tumor reduced by 46% in 3 weeks, then it reduced by 34%, in 34 more percent in another 4 weeks, and then I had to ask them what they thought about the ruptured implants from all the mammograms, MRI scans, biopsies, and everything else. They ruptured both their implants. So she had to have surgery. So while we had surgery, they took what was left of the lump. Radiologist had to come in because he couldn't find it. Pre-op day.
Wow.
It was exciting.
Wow.
And they took it out, and we have that science as well. So I have all those. I have a total of 5 MRIs, 3 biopsies, a CT, an ultrasound. I can share all that with anybody who wants to know the science. She was diagnosed March 3rd of this year, and we already enjoy it. So it's been staged. We understand what it was. We don't know for sure what the causes and triggers are, but I'm putting us in the category of people who might not have to worry so much about what a reoccurrence looks like. And if you're not familiar, our current oncology system, the hammer we throw at specifically breast cancer, but also others, some of them are one-time hammers, and they have a side effect. And I just encourage you, if you're a person who thinks, I'm interested in something different, I would love to help you. Otherwise, I'm not a doctor. I never played one on TV. I wouldn't know how to get you to where, and that's what doctors do, is they're good, and I'm not taking anything away from it. So what I want to just sort of close with is that if you could go home today and you could write down a list of 10 things that you'd like to do in your life, that you're not currently doing. And they can be anything. They could be being more involved in Lions. They could be encouraging other people to be involved. They could be helping somebody else to get through a hard time. They could be doing something for your children, something for yourself. I think is pretty good on the list. But if you wrote down 10 and circled the top 2, I would ask you what's preventing you from engaging in those top 2 things. What are the top 2 things that would bring you joy, peace, and happiness? And for me, I can tell you right now, I just got to add joining Lions again as on my list. If for nothing else than the fact that you love this country, you recognize that there was a creator, and you recognize the person next to you is something unique and special. And just those 3 things completely harmonize with my new nascent life. And the word nascent simply means a new system or process with greater potential. And so for us, my wife and I have decided to live a life of service to others. We're cashing out everything. We're cool with that, and we're just building, and we're using Brian to help us with that, to build a forum and an environment for people who have walked the walk and fought through cancer and other illnesses, and have done it in conjunction with conventional therapies and also externally. And we're creating a forum where the conversation can happen in the United States, because no doctor in this country can talk to you about anything besides whatever the Food and Drug Administration approved for them to talk about when it comes to cancer, and that's a problem. So other than that, eat what you want to eat, but try to get in something good once in a while, because I can tell you right now, 75 pounds, 72 pounds, that was a big backpack to carry. I don't want to carry it no more. So with that, thank you for your time, guys.
Amazing man. I'm glad to have him as a friend.
Theo, we want you to have this, where we got certificate appreciation for being with us today and informing us of the wonderful things that are happening in your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Theo, if you would, sir, we need an honest stand for a drawing. And the winner is Got a little you guys got excited about that too, actually. Huh? Okay. 3, 9, 8.
398.
398.
Right here. Oh, wait. Wait. Sorry, dyslexia. 389.
398.
So it's 398?
It's 398.
Okay.
398.
Frank's got it.
Frank.
I saw those.
I know.
How much